is a woman that I have heard about for many years, dating back to the 1970s when Daviana and Dean Allegado were part of the KDP. Aquan was the key person who connected this new generation of leftists to those that came before them. People like Aquan, who came to be known for their social activism and advocacy for working class people here and abroad, were the inspiration of our organization, LILO. LILO strives to empower low-income workers of color, recent immigrants, and women workers to assert their rights, improve their working conditions, and gain a voice in their workplaces, their trade unions, and communities in the U.S. and across the globe.
I'm the chair of the Department of Ethnic Studies, and it is our great pleasure to welcome you to Our Future, Our Way.
We are actually, I believe, in the fight of our lives to restore a native understanding, a Kanaka understanding of what land really is. Not real estate, not something simply to be gotten and transformed into money and finances and somebody else's enrichment. But Aina is that which gives us all life.
Yeah. This goes out to the hardcore hip hop. Yeah.
I say dance, dance, we came along and sung our song. I thought about never holding on, and I'm stuck like crime on the campus. And you can't even handle this, cause I'm an analyst trying to read your hips. I'm trying to move with fast, living through the hits. Sweet honey dip, shining like a diamond kiss. Whatever's on your mind can be accomplished. Pacing back and forth, the side to side, I'm lateral, I'm literal, that's my pride. I know you like that, forgive me if I ask, but our task is just to give up and then say, oh yeah. Say, oh yeah.
But it also means to rise up from below. To come up. Sovereignty demands that we come up and rise up from below. Sovereignty can never be given to us. Sovereignty has to be demanded. Sovereignty has to be organized. Sovereignty has to be struggled for.
So my name is Jeff Cortez, I'm from Cherokee Nation, and it's good to be here, to be welcomed onto Kanaka Maoli territory, and to be part of this exchange that we've done. As Diage pointed out, since 2006 with Okalani Aikau and Noinoy Silva and Hilani Guthrie. So it's a real pleasure to be here.
Who else? Somebody out there's gotta make another beat. What do we got here? On 28-4 sample.
We think of ourselves as people who are members of nations. And one of the main impacts of colonization has been the restriction and the degradation of that in the mind of our own people.
You really have to think more outside the box now. I saw a video where this 2-year-old was DJing and doing really well, but then that should be a statement, because if everyone else is using the same equipment and a 2-year-old could DJ better than you,
Gotta step your game up.
yeah, you gotta step your, and so for me, every time I listen to a new album, a new Flying Lotus album or a new Aloe Black album, it gives you inspiration, because that's the bar you gotta reach. And there's always so much information and so much out there that you can't stop learning music or learning every type of this stuff. It always comes in. It's always a source of something.
Ethnic studies has always preached history our way. We know history is written by the victorious and usually puts down the vanquished, which usually is most of us. So ethnic studies turned that around, and they brought to the islands a truer rendition of the people's history.
I'm looking for the line, taking off my coat, clear my throat. The rhyme won't be finished until I hit my last note. That's a little rock jam, because you gotta start with what you can remember.
Terrific to be in this space. Isn't this a wonderful space? Huh? We really thank the hosts here tonight and all of the Kanaka Maoli who have joined in to welcome all of us here.
Where is the appropriate place to examine Filipino and Pacific Islander relations? At a U.S. congressional hearing with all the trappings of state recognition? At a museum exhibit? In celebrating ethnic studies at UH Manoa? Perhaps the time has come to welcome contentious, important, and necessary discussions by and about Filipinos and Pacific Islanders as one new direction in oceanic ethnic studies.
When you really look at it, what do you have to do? What's all the steps that have to happen to successfully occupy the valley? You know what I mean? And you also have to look at what's the rationale that the decision makers have to go through. And one of the things that we put them on notice is, you can see the logic of the law is on the side of the landowners and the developers, right? So the logic of the law is like, no, you can't stay, you gotta go. That's the logic.
So this project was really all about getting to interview people who have been involved in direct action land struggle, and specifically to ask them sort of questions about what politicized them, what were strategies they used, how did they sort of to demystify for the people, the participants who were interviewing, what it meant to be an activist and to become an activist in direct action land struggle.
Lesson number 6. It's actually not Micronesians. It's Marshallese, Yappies, Chukis, Palauan, Kosraean, Pohnpeian, Chamorro, Kiribati. But when Hawaii insists on lumping us all together, when they belittle us and tell us we're small, when they tell us our people are small, when they give us a blank face, when they give us a closed door, when so many in Hawaii hate Micronesians, when so many in Hawaii hate us, lesson number 7, that's how I learned, that's how I learned, that's how I learned to hate me.
I don't know what to say or share with you following that really powerful poem. It's still very raw to many of us, but I hope that in sharing my story and my journey, you will realize how difficult it is for folks like us, the new kids on the block, which are the Micronesians, and hopefully we can create a safer and special space that this Aloha Island is all about.
How do we do things like raise consciousness, connect with community, prepare future leaders, and develop what I'm saying is the central point of future expansive politics that is attentive to all of the space and place specific dynamics, while really I'm trying to think about a global solidarity of people who are formerly oppressed and who are basically down with the cause in a global critique of capitalism that will then address questions of racism and other forms of oppression.
Most others would turn. Where do I sign a girl so a brother could learn? Is there a
Humanities and Ethnic Studies is all my classes from all the different teachers that I had here that helped ground the types of narratives that I was going to tell in my movies. And it helped tremendously when I ended up going to grad school up at Chapman University. And it's funny because everyone there, they all wanted to be filmmakers ever since they were little kids. You know, their role models were Spielberg, George Lucas. You know, they've had it in their minds that they're going to be these amazing Hollywood filmmakers. And for me, I just wanted to tell a Hawaii story. And thankfully, I feel like I always gotta call back to it. It's like my background in ethnic studies allowed their stories to be more real than their stories. Like most of their stories were derivative of other films, of other narratives that they've seen through Hollywood. And then the stories that I tried to tell came from home, came from our aunts and uncles, and it just, I got lucky.
That I'm working on right now is really animated by the question of social transformation on the island of Tutuila in the late 20th century. So how has this relationship with the United States, the question about U.S. empire, about territorial status, provided the conditions of possibility for movement in particular ways, for settlement of Samoan communities through military routes, now through sport, labor, etc. And then the second part of the title, Gridiron Dreams, right? So thinking specifically about what's happening with the sports industry and how and why the sport of American football in particular has become indigenized in Samoan communities, and so what that looks like and what are the potential effects, right, of that kind of thing. And I say this as someone who is part of a football family. Not just as sort of fans and people who follow the game, but as folks like my dad, my brothers, cousins, uncles, whose own fortunes have been tied to possibilities of movement through American football.
Fish all pretty much do the same thing. They all swim against the current, and they all follow the tides. So from 88 acres of fish pond, it's no different than fishing out here in this open ocean, you know? You don't know what you're gonna get, you can't see what you're gonna get, and what you get is what you gotta take it. With this makaha, it's never that way. We can always be selective, and we can always think about tomorrow and the future. So when we fish in the fish pond with nets and stuff like that, that's how we waste and how we don't keep our system sustainable. But if we use this makaha the way it should be, like I said, it fills up with fish. Now we have from 88 acres of pond, most of our fish right here in this puka for us to see, we can be selective. We can only take the fish that we need and make sure that we have for tomorrow and the days to come, but we can also be even more selective to help our system stay completely sustainable, where the bigger fish, they have bigger stomachs, so they make more babies. Those are the fish we want to put back into the bay. I know people always think the biggest fish is the fish we want to eat, but really the biggest fish is the fish we want to put back to have more babies.
On and on, never letting an obstacle get into my way as I go. And I perceive every blessing as a lesson in disguise. Open your eyes to the prize and understand your mental wisdom, positivity, attitude. While we flowing upon this microphone and showing manifestations of my innovative creation, lasting for the duration of time while we straight blowing. Minds like minds trying to define time. I'm the pantomime with the voice trying to endorse. We let nature take its course, yo. Music is the source, yo. Ethnic studies, yo. And grow for the course, so it's the only
This is an 88-acre traditional Hawaiian fish pond. It's dated to be about 800 years old. The oldest form of traditional aquaculture found in Hawaii was something you might see typical, represented by Kauai Nui. Kauai Nui was a large fish pond in Kailua. That fish pond is dated to be about 1,200 years old.
If it doesn't function, then what significance does it hold for our people today? So why give it value if it's not able to sustain us as a people? We have so many things on this island we don't know, but we eat the most fish in the world on these islands. But most of our fish that we consume comes from the dirty waters outside of our islands. And that's sad because we've become so dependent on that system that this thing right here in our front yard is not functionable, and it'll never function until we learn to depend on it. And the only way we're going to depend on it is if we stop relying on the food and the fish at the market when we can eat this kind of fish. Our kids today, they don't even know what mullet is. You know, they know spicy ahi. You know, they know those things you find at the poke bar, but they don't know how to eat this kind of fish. You know, and that's sad because this fish is right here. When our kupunas are today, everybody got to work. Nobody has time to teach their kids how to go fishing and keep a full-time job, you know? So our traditions are dying in that way. And so if we can restore this, then we don't need to worry about teaching our kids how to get their source of protein, because this is going to be here for us for the next 800 years or more, for the generations to come. So we share our stories, and that's how we get people to find out about what we're doing, and that helps in the restoration process. Talking to people like you and doing just 1-hour tours brings in a lot of people. We get at least 8,000 volunteers a year that come through here and help us. So we're not alone, and we never are working alone. We get so much help here, and we try to remember that every day that we're here and we work in this place, that we are lucky to work in a place like this that's working towards us becoming our own people again.
Hey, how y'all feeling out there? Y'all good? You liking what you're hearing? Alright. So a lot of space to dance and get a chance, you know, if you want to take a chance. Get a spin, call Martin, watch you do your thing. Yeah, and get this man right here. You got the nice footwork. Let's travel, let's show you the way. And we can show you the way. We will be with rhythm. And we can paint with the rhythm.
We formed an organization called Hui Malama Aino Ko'olau, which means in English the group for the protection and loving care of the kuleana of the people of Kahalu'u. We are not against development. We know that there is a need for more housing for all people, and especially for many of our younger people. There is also a need for economic opportunities for our people. What we set out to see is if the development that they have plan for us will help us or hurt us. What we found out is shocking. Through all the records of the City Planning Department for the past 20 years, and we could not even find one sentence that recognizes that we exist. All of the planning for the general plan and for public works projects such as the flood control project and H3 is written up as if this was empty land with no history and no people. And one of the largest rallies ever held at the state capitol was the rally against H3. We worked for months and we got a huge bunch of people out. We stopped it in the courts. Actually, we showed that they hadn't followed their own environmental protection laws. We were so successful that what ultimately happened is that Senator Inouye, who was in favor of this freeway going through, passed a law in Congress exempting the freeway from any environmental protection laws, and that's the only way that it was ultimately built.
These mountains are about 2,000 feet. At about 750 feet, 800 to 750 feet, there's a tunnel that runs from Kahana Valley, which is a couple valleys down that way, through the back of Kaava Valley, which is over that ridge, and then Hakipu'u, Waikane, Waianu, Waihole, and the back of Waihole, that tunnel, which is a great big tunnel, turns and goes through the mountain and comes out on the leeward side. I think it's about 3 miles through the mountain, and 2 miles. An incredible engineering feat. And so what that water did was take about 3/4 of the water from those valleys to central Oahu to irrigate sugar.
A couple of years or so later than that, this was designated a water management area, which meant that everybody who was using water had to apply for a water use permit. So that meant the company, Waihole Water Company, sugar company that owned that ditch system, they had to apply for a permit to use this water that they've been using for 80 years. But what ended up happening is these large landowners, they took the permits that they had for these wells and they kind of like gave them to the Board of Water Supply. And with the idea, the understanding that when they wanted to develop their land later on, they would be able to get a permit from the Board of Water Supply for the water that they would need for that urban development.
In 1995, we got a temporary injunction to put water back into the stream. And so water got put back in. The water that they were just dumping on the other side got temporarily put back in. We were all, it was like right before Christmas, you know? Isn't that what it was? Something like that. And we were all, waiting by the stream, waiting for this, big event, and it's like nothing happened, The water maybe came up an inch or two and flowed a little bit faster, maybe a little bit wider, but it wasn't a dramatic event, but it was a lot more water coming down.
Because of all these developments, families were evicted, the lo'i were left fallow. All of this land right here is fill. They have to do a lot of amendments just to grow kale. And it was just this small little triangle that a handful of people had just shoveled out and planted some kalo.
405 acres total, 200 acres probably wetlands. 1 pound of poi is between 22 to 25% solid. So you get 4 pounds of poi off of 1 pound of kalo, yeah? 200 acres of kalo open over here, lo'i running, water running, kalo planted. This is a game changer across the board in the entire state, period. You affect jobs, you affect economy, you affect land. 400 acres, in the total of what an island looks like, it's not that much. But 400 acres, if we get this place wide open, cranking full blast, this place it's gonna be unbelievable. People will just come just to look.
Most of the people who still live in Honolulu and still have their properties were the same families.
A large portion of a village in China moved to Punaluu almost 110 years ago. There's a monument up in the valley, and they grew rice. And the Chinese very quickly married Hawaiians, and I'm one of the products. So they quickly assimilated into all the various races here.
Our Hawaiian people didn't have cash, The Hawaiians did not have jobs that paid them cash. We lived off the land. So it was very difficult changing the process of owning land, you know, and you have to go in and declare it and state your boundaries, you know, this Kamani tree and that stream and this, that. Well, if you didn't pay taxes, you easily lost that. And then I guess our families just didn't understand or grasp the Western ownership, the ownership of land. They didn't. But some of us did. Some did. Some worked hard at retaining what they have.